Hello Summit, welcome and welcome back to another interesting tutorial video. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so very much for always coming back. If you're a new viewer here, thank you so very much and you're very much welcome. In today's video, we'll be learning how to cut and sew a Caribbean gown. So these are the materials that I used. This Ankara fabric and is about 6 yards. I have my lining here. I have 1-inch velvet bias, a matching thread, and of course your machine, your sewing machine. So let's dive into the video if this is what you're interested in. For you to be able to get your measurement for the down part, you'll be needing your waist round measurement times 2 plus half yard of fabric. Okay, so let's go ahead and calculate in a way that you can understand. If your round waist measurement is 30 inches, 30 times 2 will give us 60 plus 18 inches, that should be 78 inches, right? That is for the upper tier, okay, for the first step. And for the second one, you are going to times that 78 inches times 2, okay? That should be for the downside. So that is exactly what I used here, and I'm just going to measure out and then cut out. So after cutting out, the next thing I'm going to do is to minus your half length to get the length of your gown, okay? Minus your half length for the fillet to get the full length of the gown. And then the next thing I'm going to do is to measure out how many inches where you want to cut out for the second step, okay? If it is from your knee, you have to measure from your half length to your knee and then cut out. So that is exactly what I'm doing here right now. And after you are done, this is what I have, okay? The shorter part will be for the downside, and then the longer part is going to be for the waist part. Do you get? Please, if you have any question, you have to put it down on the comment section. So let's move ahead for the upper side, okay? So guys, if you watch very well from the picture on our thumbnail, you're going to notice that this is an off shoulder dress, okay? So I'll be coming down with 4 inches, okay? And then that should be my neckline, and it's also going to serve as the shoulder line, okay? Then I'm going to, from that side, I'm going to mark out my chest line as well, okay? Because this is not a bustier. So the reason why I'm marking that side is just to explain myself very well. Do you get? So we have the shoulder line, the neckline, the chest line, and then the half length. I added 1 inch at the downside for the hemming, okay? So the next thing you're going to do is to divide your bust round measurement by 4. You're going to place it down on your chest line and then mark out. Please do not forget to add extra allowance for ease, okay? Then on the waistline, you're going to repeat the same thing, your waist round measurement divided by 4 and then allowance. Then go ahead and connect the 2 dots. So on that neckline, I'm going to use 6 inches for the neck width, and then I'm going to come down with 1 inch here, okay? So in total of it should be 7 inches for the neckline, right? So the next thing I'm going to do is to connect from that point straight or in a curvy way to meet that chest line, okay? So and after that, I'm going to go ahead and cut out. So after cutting out, this is what I have, and then the next thing I'm going to do is to fold another fresh fabric, and I'm going to place that front one at the top of it. I'm going to bring out about 1 inch or 1.5 inches allowance for zipper, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and cut out. I'm going to cut out exactly the same way I cut the front part. The difference here will be the zipper allowance. Then I'm going to come down for the neckline, for the back neckline with 1 inch, okay? I want this side to be 1 inch lower than the front part, okay? So now I'm going to divide my bust span measurement by 2, and I'm going to mark it out on the dart area, okay? When I want to sew it, I will sew for the front part like 6 inches above, and then I'm going to sew for the back side 8 inches or thereabout, okay? So the next thing I will be doing now is to fold another fabric. This will be for the sleeve. If you watch from the thumbnail that we have there, you will notice that there's no sleeve, okay? What we have there is just a sleeveless, okay? So but this one, my client said that she wants to put her own sleeve, okay? So I'm going to mark out the sleeve, and after that we'll go on and start sewing it. So I'm going to bring out the front piece and I'm going to place it so that I can be able to get the armhole for the sleeve. Okay, then I'm just going to trace out this part, and then for the other side I'm going to add an elastic to the downside and then to the upper side. But at the end of it, she later changed and turned her style. She wants me to put a band at the downside, and then I pleated the upper side for her. As time goes on, you are going to understand what I meant. Okay, but if you want to put your own elastic, you can just go ahead and insert elastic after you are done folding it by 1 inch. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and cut out the lining. Whatever thing I cut on the main fabric is what I'm just going to cut on the lining, both for the front and the back piece. So after you are done cutting out, it's now time to start sewing. I'm going to sew in the lining. I'm going to turn it up with my lining piece, and then I'm just going to sew the neckline, these two sides. I'm not going to sew the sleeve side and then the down side. And I'm also going to repeat the same thing on the front piece here. You're going to sew the neckline and then the two sides, okay? So here I have the net that I'll be working with. If you watch from our thumbnail, you notice that there's a net at the front of that piece. Okay, so I'm going to cut out, I'm going to measure out like 4 inches, that is 2 inches on fold. Okay, and when you open it up, you're going to have exactly 4 inches. So I'm going to mark out 4 inches and I'm going to cut out. So the next thing I'll do now is to come up here, and then I'm going to notch out, okay, from the neckline side. I'm going to notch so that by the time I turn it over, it's going to relax very well. So after notching it out, I'm going to give it a nice press as well. So guys, I'm done and it's now time to move over to the sewing machine. Right now I want to top stitch on that downside, and after top stitching, the next thing I'll be doing is to sew in the darts. Okay, so now it's now time to sew in the darts. I'm going to fold, okay, and then I'm going to measure 6 inches up to the length of where I want to sew the darts. Okay, I'm going to measure so like 6 inches from the down part for the front piece. Okay, I'm going to sew it like 2 places, and for the back I'm also going to sew it to one for the other side and one for the other side, right? So this is for the back, and I'm also going to measure out 8 inches. The back dart is just 2 inches longer than the front dart. Okay, so I'm going to measure 8 inches for the dart, for the back dart, and then I'm going to sew. So I'm done sewing, and this is what I have. You can see it. This is what it came out. Okay, so it's now time to join this side. Okay, it's now time to close it up. So I'm going to place it, and I'm going to make sure that the right side is facing the right side, and then after that I'm going to pin down with my pin. Then I'm going to divide my chest round measurement by 2, and then after that I'm going to mark out, and then the remaining allowance I'm going to divide it by 2 as well, and I'm going to put half at this side, and then I'm going to put half at the other side. So on the waistline I'm going to repeat the same thing. My waist round measurement divided by 2, measure out the allowance remaining, then divide it by 2 and put half here and the other half at the other side. Then after that, you go ahead and sew following this line. Okay, so whatever measurement I have here, I'm also going to place it down here, and then I'm also also go ahead and connect it. Then I'm going to make a stitch following this line, okay, that we just drew now. So let me use this opportunity to say a very big thank you to my subscribers, my new subscribers. You guys are the very best. Thank you so very much. My returning viewers and my new viewers, I love you guys so much. Please, if today is your first time coming across my channel, please do not forget to hit on the subscribe button and also turn up your bell notification so that whenever I will post a video, it gets notified. Okay, I'm done sewing this part and this is what I have. So I'm going to open it up and I'm going to keep it aside and start working on the net part, right? So I'm going to open up the nets and I'm going to place it under my machine foot, and it's going to be at the center. Okay, I'm going to be sewing on the center of this. Okay, while sewing, I'll be pleating it to have this ruffle, right? Please watch very careful so that you get to understand what I'm doing here. While sewing it, just be pleating it, okay, just be pushing more of the fabric into the machine foot, okay, and then by that way you'll be having this ruffle. Okay, it will be folding like this. Can you see what I'm doing? Please watch very closely. Okay, you have to be very careful while doing this because working with nets, with a two net, is not that easy. Okay, so you have to be very careful so that you don't get to make any mistake. That is why that is the reason why I don't want to fast forward this side, so that you can get a bit of what I'm trying to explain here, right? So I'm done here and I'm going to bring it out. So it's now time to attach it on the front part, right? So I'm going to bring out the front piece, the upper side, and I'm going to be sewing it on that front neckline. Okay, if you want to make a guideline, like to use your chalk and make a guideline on where you are going to sew the net, you are just going to do that if you cannot sew straight. But for me, I am going to just sew it like that. But if you are a beginner and you have not started sewing like straight, okay, you have to make a line, okay, so that you can be able to follow up that line. That line is going to serve as a guideline for you. Okay, so that's just it. After you are done sewing it, we are going to see the outcome of this. Okay, keep on watching. So guys, I'm done sewing it and this is what I have. I have about two to three lines here. Okay, so it's now time to start working on the downside. I'm going to first of all bring out the first step, okay, and I'll put it under my machine foot, and then I'm going to be pleating it just the same way we did on that net. Just go ahead and pleat it. If you cannot do this one, you can just run a loose stitch and then go ahead and draw it to form a gather. Okay, so but for me, I'll be using this pattern. So for the downside, I'm also going to repeat the same thing. Or okay, let me just go ahead and run a loose stitch throughout it, and then I'm going to draw it to gather it with my hand. Okay, so guys, as I was sewing that side, I didn't know that my phone went off and I was busy making video. Please guys, you guys should please pardon me. I'm done sewing it and also went ahead to join it to the upper side. So the next thing I'm just going to do now is to add my velvet bias. There's not much thing I did there off the camera. The thing I did was to gather the downside and then attach it to the upper side. Okay, that's just the only thing I did. Okay, now I'm going to start sewing on the velvet bias and I'm going to use it to cover up that the stitching, okay, the joining at the downside, the joining. I'm just going to use that velvet bias to cover it up. So that's what I'm just doing here. And after sewing on this part, I'm also going to sew on the other part of the velvet bias. You're going to sew on the two sides, okay. So this is what I have after I'm done sewing it. You can see it's very fine. You can see how the velvet bias just bring out the color of the dress. So please do not forget to cut out all the dangling rope, okay. Cut out all the rope so that you have a neat finishing, okay. So after I'm done doing that, the next thing I'm going to do is to join the upper side to it. I'm going to place it, make sure that the right side is facing the right side, and I'm going to place it under my machine and then join the two of them together. So this is what I have after I'm done joining it. This is the back side. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to show you what we have on the right side. So this is what we have. Can you see? Can you see how relaxed and how full it came out? Can you see? It's very fine and beautiful. So the next thing this is the back piece. This is the back side of it, okay. So can you see? So it's now time to join in the lining. I'm going to be sewing the lining from the upper side because I want the lining to cover up that side, the rough side, okay. So I'm going to be sewing the lining. Just go ahead and place the lining on the upper side and then sew. So I'm done sewing it and this is what it came out to be. You can see that lining cover up the rough edges, right? So it's now time to close up the downside for the back, okay, so that I can be able to join my zipper. I'm going to measure from the half length 7 inches down and I'm going to sew the rest, okay. After sewing it, I'm going to attach the zipper to it, okay. So this is the zipper that I'll be using for this particular gown. I'm going to sew it in now, and after I'm done sewing it, I'm going to hem the down part of the gown, okay. Please guys, you guys should pardon me. I'm trying to fast forward this because it's way too long. So for the sleeve side, I'm going to pleat the upper and the lower side. After pleating it, I'm going to make sure that I have at least 8.5 inches or 9 inches for the upper side, okay. And for the lower side, the downside, I'm going to make sure I have her sleeve band measurement, okay, her sleeve round measurement, and then I'm going to add extra allowance for sewing, okay. So go ahead and plait. After plating it, measure it and check if you have exactly the sleeve round measurement plus at least 1 inch, okay, for sewing allowance. And then after that, I'm going to add the band for the downside. I'm going to add the band for the downside, and for the upper side, I'm going to pipe it, okay. I'm trying to fast forward this, but I want it to be more detailed so that you guys can be able to understand what I'm doing, okay. So this is the band, and for the upper side I'm going to pipe the mouth, right? I'm going to be sewing from the back side, and then I'm going to turn over to the front side. Then after you are done sewing it, it's now time to join it to the dress. Okay, it's now time to join the sleeve to the dress. I'm going to join it right now, and after joining it I'll show you guys what we have. Okay, so guys, I'm done sewing it, and this is what I have. After I'm done sewing it, the next thing I'm going to do is to close up the sleeve side. Okay, I'm going to close it up, place it under the machine, and then use that sewing allowance that you brought out earlier, and then close it up. This is very simple, but if you want me to do a tutorial on how you can cut and sew an off shoulder dress, an off shoulder sleeve, you can just leave your comment down the comment section. I promise I'm going to do it ASAP. Okay, so after I'm done, I'm going to cool down and cut out all the dangling stitches, because trust me, you love to have a neat finishing, right? So it's very important to cut out all the dangling stitches. Okay, so after you are done sewing for that part, I'm also going to repeat the same thing on the other sleeve, and after you are done, this is what we have. Okay, by the time she wear it, she's going to draw it up to give that balloon effect, right? So that's just it. You can see it's very fine and beautiful. So it's now time to give it a nice press. So I'm going to place it on my table, and then give it a nice press, and after that I'll be putting it on my mannequin to show you guys what we have there. Okay, to show you guys the outcome, to show you guys what we just made. Oh my god, it's very beautiful. I just fall in love with this particular dress. This is actually my first time sewing something like this. It's actually my first time, and I think I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving that Caribbean hobby, that two-step something. I think I love it so much, and I'm going to make one for myself, trust me. So that's just it. So after giving it a nice press, I'm going to place it on the mannequin for us to see the outcome. Okay, so this is what I have. This is what we have here. You can see it's very fine, very beautiful, very unique and fine, beautiful, elegant. You can see the nets. It's very fluffy, right? Oh my god, I love this. So guys, please, if you have not subscribed, hit on that subscribe button, turn up your bell notification so that whenever I will post a video, you get notified. Okay, do not forget to give our video a thumbs up. I'm going to see you all in my next class. Bye bye.